Bets show, presented by our fine sponsor at BetRivers, all made possible by the Field of 68. I am Matthew Cox. The other guy is Kai. The other guy is Jim. It's Championship Sunday. I know it's not the official title of today's slate, but I am hosting, and thus I hijacked the outline, and we will be talking almost exclusively about championship games today, Kai and Jim. I did weasel in the Houston, Memphis, and Iowa, Illinois game just to appease the masses, I guess. But we will get nitty gritty with some of these championship games. Big slate of games yesterday, Jimbo. You were live for some action late night out there in the desert. What'd you learn?
I learned that San Francisco has probably punched their first NCAA tournament ticket since 1998. Wow, incredible. A very hype atmosphere there. Jamari Bouye had a dunk with like 1 second left on the clock that was not terribly well received by BYU, but it was a very emphatic exclamation point on a phenomenal performance, to be quite honest. They never trailed in the second half, controlled that game. I think they're a worthy at-large team, and it's going to be fun to see them in the field.
Jim, I love it. Congratulations. And congratulations, Murray State.
Yes.
Punching that first bid. Love it. Love that we got the Racers. We knew we were getting the Racers no matter what, but I'm glad to put the exclamation point. Winning the conference tournament. Didn't steal a bid for anybody else out there. That's great news for those bubble teams. Murray State might get as high as a 6 seed, guys. They're going to be a dangerous team in the tournament, Matthew.
And just want to say congrats to UNC for their official inclusion in the NCAA tournament. Yes. Coach K was so kind to throw away his last game at home at Cameron and help out the up-and-coming Hubert Davis in his quest to rebuild UNC. So kind of a fun little storyline in there.
What a generous Duke fan you are.
I know. Yep. All right, let's get into the action here. We're going to Arch Madness to start us off, Mr. McKeon. And I know as a fellow St. Louis brethren, this one is near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
Drake, Loyola. Showdown, a rematch of last year's NBC title game. Man, these two teams are playing excellent ball right now. I was a little worried about Drake without DJ Wilkins. They slipped by Missouri State in overtime yesterday. Now in the quick turnaround to face a Loyola team looks like a juggernaut. What are you looking at here?
Well, Drake is super hard to beat. Like I would not want to play Drake if I'm a different team in a tournament setting. We've seen them have great success in this tournament in recent years, but I think this is Loyola's game. They're on a mission to close this out. If they lose, they still have a good chance to get into the tournament, but it's kind of dicey. If they win, there's no doubt. And man, they have looked good against Bradley, against UNI. Marquise Kennedy back in the fold has been huge for them. Mm-hmm. Drake is certainly firing on all cylinders, Jim. Even without DJ Wilkins, they beat Missouri State. They are 5-2 ATS the last 7 games. They did sweep Loyola in the regular season. They shot 59 free throws combined in those 2 games against the Ramblers. Hey, Loyola, maybe stop fouling Drake in this game here. Pretty evenly matched talent-wise. I will take the superior defense, though, in this game. That's Loyola, and the team that's fully locked in. I think it's a Ramblers game.
Yeah, this is such a defensive event. It's a tough gym to shoot in. Their Valley unders are typically a decent bet. Of course, they're shaded down, Matt, because everybody kind of knows that at this point, which is a bummer. But Drake off of overtime makes me a little nervous because they don't have Wilkins. Their depth is really limited. They're not playing Brody a ton, and they probably won't play him a ton against Loyola because that's not a team that pounds it inside, and they don't require that kind of size. So I'm leaning Loyola too. I don't like the number. I did not expect it to be where it is. Yeah, a little too high for me to lay it. But I think Loyola wins, so I don't want to take only +5 with a dog that I don't think is going to win. So staying away for me here, Matt.
I do. Best bet, Drake +5. I just think the reason the guys get it done today, I know it's a tough spot coming off the OT game yesterday, but precedents of Longwood and Citadel yesterday, both coming off OT games the day prior, covered the second half emphatically, made deep runs in tough spots there. So I'm not as worried about that angle, even though I believe the data says that there's a point or point and a half edge to teams catching a team coming off an overtime game on a back-to-back. I just like the coaching matchup there too. I don't think the smarts and the intelligence of Loyola will thwart the Bulldogs. I think what we saw in the regular season plays out again a third time. I'm not on this Drake team. I think it's just too much for what feels more like a pick'em type game to me.
I think citing Longwood as part of that is a little sketchy to me. They were up like 1 with 2 minutes left and barely got outside the number.
That's true. I know. But the second half was when they really put their surge on after being down. They're on 17 points. My goodness.
Yeah, they got down right away. So it was impressive.
Hey, I think Valentine's a good coach. DeVries.
No, I'm not. There's no coaching edge.
DeVries above there, but yeah, I mean Valentine's.
I just think that's a wash. So it feels like a pick 'em game. That's all I'm gonna say.
Loyal's got more time to prepare. The extra 3 hours, man.
The extra 3 hours, I know. Valentine was in the film room immediately following that win. So yeah, that could be a factor. You're right, Jim. All right, Big South title game, number 2 on the outline. Winthrop, Rock the Hill taking on Longwood, who has dodged 2 bullets, Kai, to get to where they are. But Griff Aldridge and the boys have done it all season. It feels like a team of destiny. I'm not sure if I'm going to go as far as to call them like a UNC Wilmington or a Providence team of destiny.
I will, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Jim, go. Let's go right to Jim. Sorry, Kai, you've been skipped.
I don't want to hog the ball. I just want to say that Longwood is 10-0 in games decided by 6 or less or overtime against Big South opponents. 10-0. Like, they have won every close game. Honestly, you kind of saw why yesterday. Upstate got a little bit panicky when they got down a bucket and started firing threes. Longwood was really patient. Their experienced veteran backcourt just waited, worked it around, ended up getting some really, really quality shots. And man, Kai, Wade, Wilkins, Hill is a terrifying backcourt.
All weight room backcourt. All weight room backcourt.
That said, though, I think Longwood's better. I think Winthrop's better. Longwood's off the OT and the really stressful game yesterday, whereas Winthrop hasn't been challenged quite as much. Burns is a complete matchup nightmare in this one, and Longwood did win the regular season, Kai, but they shot the crap out of the ball. So yeah, I'm leaning Winthrop here.
First of all, it's an awesome matchup. This tournament's been the funnest to watch this week. Big South tournament's been amazing. Longwood, yeah, they're dogs. They won the regular season. They beat Winthrop in their only meeting, but they're dogs. They beat them without D.A. Houston, one of their key guys. Both teams were fireballs in that matchup. 27 from 52 from deep combined, both over 1.2 points per possession. I hope we get a game like that. That's fantastic. Matt, you mentioned Longwood, super physical, super athletic, and most importantly, super strong. DJ Burns is fantastic for Winthrop, but he played 15 minutes in that first game. And Longwood has the strength to face him that they're not used to. Burns isn't used to being or facing guys that can go toe-to-toe with him in the strength department. I think Longwood has those guys, and I love the poise they showed against Upstate. I'm kind of in on this Longwood team. I want them to get their first bid to the dance, and their dogs. I think there's value on the number there.
Can I push back a little on the size for Longwood?
Go for it.
Huge.
Not up front. They're not. They're big on the perimeter. I don't think they're big up front.
Yeah, their center rotation is 6'7" guys.
That's pretty big.
Yeah,
he's bulky. He's strong. They're all strong. They're stout, Jim.
Yeah, I'm concerned for him. Burns got in foul trouble. That's why he played 15 that first game. I think
do that again.
He does only play like 22 minutes a game normally anyways, but
I think Hightower is the real matchup problem for Longwood.
Fair. Yeah, because they do play like 4 out. Like Granlin's not going to guard Hightower. That's an issue.
Plus, he's having a great tournament, Matthew. You've seen Hightower.
Yes, he is.
Last couple of games.
He's been a frustrating player, I think, his whole career. I think he's prone to poor shot selection. But man, he's a special talent, especially in that conference. Kai, I kind of agree with you, especially at the current price. Been bet up to Winthrop -2.5. But I think Winthrop's like the quote unquote sharp bet. Just feels like it's the right side here. And I don't know. I'm not getting involved. I just want to highlight something on both this game and the Valley Championship. Both unders have been absolutely smacked with a titanium hammer. 147 this open. Now it's down to 139 in some shops. The Valley was 135. Now it's down to 131. So if you like over in either of those two matchups now, it'd be a great time to hop in. But there's a reason I think this team's on the under.
Unders with teams off overtime have been getting destroyed. Yesterday, Portland was off in overtime. That got bet down like 5 points, and it went over because Portland was still running with Santa Clara. So it's not an auto bet, but it seems like the market is certainly hitting them hard. Yeah,
you can quickly pick up on what the market is looking at. I think that's pretty obvious there. All right, game number 3. Boring, unfortunately, Kai. Just another Big Ten run-of-the-mill showdown. Illinois hosting Iowa. Big Ten title implications on the line here. I think Illinois still has a chance to secure the number one. No, it's out. I thought they have a chance. It's for sure locked up. Okay. Yep. Never mind. So in this, I mean, obviously seeding implications important here. A little bit of revenge on the minds of Iowa after Illinois took them down in Iowa City. What's your angle on this, Cap?
Yeah. So Illinois locks the 2 seed. They win. If they lose, it's a tiebreaker with Purdue. If Purdue swept them, I think they'd get the 3 seed. Not a huge difference. Same.
Because all 14, the top 4 get the double buys, right? That's all I'm
Iowa has looked great lately, Matt. 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread the last 5, 8-1 straight up, 6-3 against the spread last 9. I mean, you can't argue. They're playing very, very well. I think they're among the top, if not the top team right now in KenPom in the Big Ten, or right behind Purdue, which is nuts. Illinois won at Carver Hawkeye all the way back in December. I'm not really thinking about that game because it happened so long ago. And Illinois at home the last 3 games, kind of disappointing. They beat Northwestern by 7. They lost to Ohio State. They beat Penn State by 5. Now, I don't think they're going to take this one lightly. I think they're going to come out and play pretty hard. And 4-point spread seems very low to me, Jim. I like Illinois here. It's mostly gut and a slight number lean.
Yeah, the number seems a little low to me, but it is kind of reflective, like you said, how great Iowa's been recently and how high they've ascended in predictive rankings. It seems like Colburn's should be a matchup issue. Rebracha isn't quite the big dude capable of guarding him 1v1. And again, that's kind of like what I usually look at with Illinois games. If he can score one-on-one, then you either let him eat or you have to double, and that opens up the shooters. Plummer has been a fireball of late. That's a problem. But man, Iowa has been super solid. The McCaffreys are actually making shots for them. And Keegan Murray is playing like he's at least in the conversation again for National Player of the Year. His production's been remarkable. So yeah, number leans Illinois, probably who I would take like in a gun to head situation, Matthew, but I don't feel super strongly about it.
Yeah, I don't either. I think the number's pretty sharp. Because it opened at 3, it's up to -4, basically implying the odds makers see these two teams as near equals. I guess I do lean Illinois just from that perspective. Maybe I'd take Illinois as just a better team, but you're right. The way Illinois has played the last 4 games, man, I don't want to get in the way of that offense, the way they're ho-humming right now. I kind of like the over, but then I looked at that number again. It's like, man, 154.5 is a big, big number.
Yeah.
So
Iowa, it's Iowa games, man.
It's Iowa games, right? Exactly. And Illinois has they will not hesitate to get into a track meet if they find opportunity, especially when they get those transition shooters going. Next game here.
Peter in the chat called me out. He's right, but Wisconsin not losing to Nebraska. So yeah, that's my
the mayor's revenge. I don't know if I buy that.
15-point favorite.
Yeah. Nebraska's been playing better, but they have been playing better. Wisconsin, like on this run that they're on, unless they partied way too hard after clinching a share of the title. Yeah.
Maybe
I'd probably get after it too. I think a share is good enough for me to go out and get rowdy with the boys. All right, Houston at Memphis here, Jim. Huge AAC showdown. Memphis still trying to feel better and better about where they stand in their tournament prognosis. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a win over the Cougs would be a resounding statement in that regard. In terms of a handicap value perspective, the line opened -2.5. Houston, a short favorite. It stayed right around there. Early tip today. I feel like a kind of an ugly game. I was leaning under myself, but no take on the side.
Memphis has played them really well, like 3 straight times dating back to last year. They have given Houston a lot of problems, and it kind of makes sense. A team that talented with their physical ability finally kind of like gets up and can actually match what Houston has in terms of the barrage on the glass. And Memphis, I think, kind of knows like they need to bring the intensity there right on the cut line. This one would probably put them in, even if they lose in the conference tournament. You sweep Houston, that's going to be a great thing to have at the top of your resume. Houston has nothing to play for. They're the 1 seed. It's clinched. It's done. I don't think that's going to change much about a Kelvin Sampson team, Kai, just because they always play with such crazy intensity. But it's sometimes if you don't have that desperation, it's tough to manufacture, even if you are as well coached as they are. I lean towards Memphis here, getting another big victory over the Cougars. +2.5 is dicey, but it would be the Tigers for me.
I lean Memphis too. I'd make this closer.
Sorry.
I'd make this closer.
It's been bet down though, Jim. Sorry, go ahead, Kai.
I'd make this closer to pick. I saw some 3 out there. I would have taken Memphis +3. If they win this game, they sweep Houston. I think they are in the dance if they win. They might be in no matter what right now. I mean, their resume is actually pretty solid. And like Jim said, Houston, they're the 1 seed that's locked up. You're right. I don't think Kelvin Sampson takes days off. Neither does his team. They're very well coached. But, I mean, Memphis is hungry right now. They won by 10 on the road in the first matchup. They kept Houston off the glass. They kept them off the foul line. They hit free throws themselves, Matt. Memphis was 18 for 19 from the free throw line the first game, despite being a 68% shooting team on the season. That's nuts. I think the athleticism of Memphis is actually a very good combat to Houston's style.
Yes.
It's kind of a like for like. You cannot out physical or overpower us. We are just as athletic as you, or more athletic than you. So I think Tigers cover here +2.5. Yeah,
it's that same that matchup edge that they have over Wichita, right? They've dominated the Shockers this year. I kind of like what Penny's if he continues to find the cream of the crop athletes, he's going to always have a matchup, a way to neutralize the Houstons and Wichitas of the world. So I think while X and O schematic matchups are not always relevant in handicapping, I think in this context they are very pertinent. Similar with the OVC, how Murray and Moorhead just own Belmont this season, just don't have the horses to stack up. That's all we got for round 1 of the outline. Now it's time for round 1 of Chat Mom questions.
Only one best bet so far, so there's some lurking. There's some lurking later in the show. Hey Matt, the chat wants to know why your Hoosiers can't find good coaches like Calvin Sampson. What's wrong with that?
Because they make too many phone calls, and I have no tolerance for unsolicited phone calls, Jim. Me and my fellow IU brethren. So I'm glad that he was fired for that very just and rightful cause. That's why.
FYI to the chat, after this first break, we have the 2 SoCon games and the 2 Sun Belt games. So those are both coming. Kai, let's start with a quarterfinal in the CAA from Kayvon. Delaware and Drexel. This line has flipped to Delaware being a favorite. Yep. And doggone it, Kai, I agree with it. I think the Blue Hens should be a favorite here on a neutral. Yep. I like Delaware. What do you think?
Totally agree. I know Drexel's a defending champ here, but that was kind of a fluky run. Delaware's much more talented, in my opinion, outside of Cameron Winter. They have a great starting 5. I think that plays well in the conference setting. I like him -1.
Dylan Painter not healthy. That's my concern.
He's healthier, and he's had a little time off.
Play.
Yeah, he actually got in the starting lineup, played 24 minutes last game. And they've had 6 days off, Matt. So that's
that's huge. That's a good point.
Matt, staying in that same league though, from Lonte, Elon and UNC Wilmington. He thinks it's a little short. That's definitely, I think, reflective of like the standings and where UNC Wilmington finished relative to Elon for it to only be 3.5 or so. Do you trust the Seahawks, who've kind of been on their own magic carpet ride this year?
Yeah, I lean that way. I don't think the line's too short, though. I mean, again, Wilmington wasn't like a dominant team per the analytics. So you put these 2 teams on a neutral, I think 4 points isn't terribly off the rails. I think I'd have it closer to 5, but it's not enough for me to bet it, Jim. If you're buying into the team of destiny thing, Wilmington's probably the right play. Just keep riding that angle.
Yeah, they just play so many close games. Like laying over a possession is tough. I would lean towards Wilmington, but I don't feel like mega strong about it there. Kai, in the Patriot League, Boston U +3 headed to Navy. Lonte also like the dog here. Super veteran Boston U team. Navy shot the ball really well in both games they played. Certainly helped them get the sweep. I'm kind of leaning his way, Boston U as a dog. What do you think?
I lean Boston U as well. They are a hard team to trust, and Navy is a team that you hate to fade because they somehow figure out ways to win. But I don't think they should be a 3-point favorite here. Is this at Navy? I think it is, right?
Yeah.
This is a true home game.
All right. So there's your spread. So that makes more sense. I do lean towards Boston. I don't know if Greg Summers is still out of the lineup for Navy. I mean,
he's back.
He's back.
Yep.
Still lean Boston. Very experienced team, Jim, as you mentioned.
Yep. Matone should be a beast inside, although Navy zones. So it's tough to just feed him constantly, but I like that. All right, Matt, back to the CAA. Probably should have just stuck to it. Come on, Jim, organize your questions.
You're fine.
From Harry, Hofstra and Charleston. This one also a low spread for a 3-6 game. Hofstra won 2 tight games with them this season, both very high scoring, unsurprisingly. Johnny Meeks is back for Charleston. Do you think the Cougars can pull the upset? Pat Kelsey, a good conference tournament coach.
Right. I think that just given Kelsey's dominant track record in the Big South tournament, I think he could have a very shrewd game plan cooked up here. But these 2 teams know each other well. Again, they just played, Jim, as you mentioned, the last game of the regular season. Charleston lost to Hofstra at Hofstra. Could be a good flip-flop angle here in favor of the Cougars, but I think the line's a little too short. I still think the Pride are really good. They're not Towson good, but still really good and worthy of maybe a little more an expensive price here.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more. Kai, South Florida at Temple. Ken Ray's wondering if we give Temple some love today. Man, they've been really, really good. These 2 teams jump out as under squads to me, but it is, of course, a low total. How do you feel about this one?
Spread is 8, Jim. I thought it was a little bit too low. South Florida's been getting a little bit too much respect by odds makers, in my opinion, on these opening lines. I lean towards the Owls.
Okay, fair. Yeah, like I said, under. South Florida, I think, is bad, especially on the road. Matthew, in the Patriot League, the other semifinal, Lehigh catching 13.5 at Colgate. Wondering if this is a little too high. Stephen Wentz was asking, do you think it is too high?
Certainly feels that way, but I'm not going to touch it here. I think teams like Vermont and Colgate, as they get deeper into these conference tournaments, there's just no reason to let off the gas because they're a game or 2 away from getting to that final hurdle. So from a motivational angle, I don't like fading teams that are just categorically better. And I think Colgate is. They've proven that the last month of the year. Didn't lose it all February, I don't think.
Yeah. All right, Kai, last one before we go back to the outline from PK. Rutgers and Penn State. Does home Rutgers take care of business? Obviously, road Penn State hasn't been that good. I will input here that I continue to like Penn State unders. They've been terrific controlling the tempo. Rutgers are certainly not going to try to speed it up like crazy. So despite the low total, I like the under there. What do you think of the side?
Yeah, I lean towards Rutgers. They're still fighting for a spot in the tournament. I know one of these team bracketologists on Fielding the 68 had them in. If they get their metrics higher, they're definitely a good bid for the tournament. So I think Rutgers minus 5.5 is the way I would prefer, Jim.
Very real incentive to win by 20. Like
Yes.
that would be
Very
massive
real.
for them. All right, Matt, let's go back to the outline of the SoCon and the Sun Belt. Now we'll continue assembling questions.
Yeah, hey, we got crucified properly. So for not including Michigan and Ohio State in the outline. Sorry, folks, it's not in the outline, but we're going to get it right now. So we're going to shoehorn it in real quick. Sorry, producers, just stick with us here. Quick takes on the Ohio State-Michigan showdown rematch, Jimbo. Early tip today, Ohio State laying 4. Total been bet down to 141. Key injuries on the Buckeyes side. I have no take, though.
Yeah, I don't trust Ohio State a lot right now. Michigan's been like total zigzag. I think their last 9 games, they've gone win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So kind of leaning their way, but Dickinson should eat inside. Zed Key, Kyle Young. We don't know exactly what their status is going to be.
Young is out. Key is dicey, I think. Chat mom.
Young's illness, and then Key's the ankle. I can't imagine he's 100% if he plays. Dickinson should be a beast inside. So I guess I lean towards Michigan a little bit here, but it's not crazy strong. Kai?
Yep, I lean Michigan as well. I think Kyle Young is super important. I put him very highly on Ohio State's pecking order. He's worth a couple points. I think Michigan +4 is the side.
I like Michigan too. That's all I got. Let's keep on. All right, back to the outline here. It's conference tournament season. Let's talk about games that actually matter. Not that that one doesn't matter, of course, but this one matters a lot. Wofford, Chattanooga. We'll get to Samford, Furman, the other semifinal in the SoCon. Jim, the mocks are cruising. I was a little bit frustrated yesterday. They didn't have the same juice in the second half we saw in the first half. They had Citadel buried early and kind of let their foot off the gas late, missed some free throws, played with their food, as Kai likes to say.
I do.
Now they open as a short favorite, a better spot to back a team without any sort of risk of, letting your foot off the gas and a bigger spread here. I think they match well with Wofford. I think they smack the Terriers. It's my best bet. Nooga -2, my second best bet of the day.
There he is, coming in hot. I love it. Yeah, Chattanooga just shot the ball terribly yesterday. That was kind of like the thing that undid them. I think the final margin was maybe a little deceiving too, because of the final minute. There's a lot of foul game played, and Nooga didn't close the way they should have. I think they're better too. I think D'Souza can dominate inside, and Kai, their guards are big and strong and powerful, and Wofford's are not. So yes. I'm with Matt there. I like Nooga.
Yeah, it was a weird line. I thought at the opener it was -1.
It was basically a pick, yeah.
Very, very short. Nooga handled them easily. Both games they played this season, they held Wofford in check, 0.97 points per possession, both games. And that's because their perimeter, Jim, is so athletic. They're so big. They run shooters off the line. If they don't, they're closing out hard. Wofford relies on jump shots to score or play through the post and BJ Mack. And Nooga has plenty of post players to throw at him. Aini, Diggs, D'Souza. I think it's a really tough matchup for Wofford. And they're off that scared of VMI, a game they maybe should have lost. I think this is Chattanooga's game.
Hi, excellent breakdown. That's in a nutshell right there, folks. And D'Souza was in foul trouble yesterday. So kind of frustrating if you're a Nooga backer. I got to think that maybe the whistle is more kind to him today. They will need his presence up front, even though they have a stable of bigs right behind him. All right, Jim, going to you here for the other semifinal tilt in the SoCon. Furman, Samford. Unlike the Wofford Nooga game, not a ton of burly bigs in this one. More of a guard wing type of game on both ends. A lot of mismatches, hybrid forwards that can do a myriad of different things. Mr. Bob Ritchie chasing the old monkey off his back. Can he finally get over the hump here, clinch that spot in the title game, potentially get one step closer to the elusive auto bid?
Yeah, I mean, Furman should win. They're 9-point favorites, very reflected in that, but that feels a little high to me. Sanford's been awesome down the stretch. They've also been pretty good against top shelf competition. You go back to non-con, some of the games they played.
Yeah.
Even the Dons we talked about on the show, they were down like 10 to them with 2 minutes left or 4 minutes left, and then got forked, unfortunately, for yours truly backing Samford there. But they're just really talented. They got a Florida transfer point guard that has been a complete maestro for them. I don't think Furman has like the ball screen coverage to shut him down. I actually thought UNCG was the team that could combat him, and he had a great game yesterday. Glover, that is. So I'm kind of leaning Samford against the spread here, Kai. Just felt a little bit too high. Maybe Furman just goes supernova and finally barnstorms their way to the title game, but I don't see that happening. I'm a more Bulldogs lean here.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Bob Ritchie, man, to get his first SoCon finals appearance. Great coach, great person, friend of the podcast. These teams split during the season series. Samford has beaten every team in the league, but Furman won by 32 in the first game. I mean, they pounded them. Samford won by 8 in the second one. Furman's clearly better. They're a 9-point favorite. If they hit a normal amount of shots this game, they don't go cold, I think they win. Defensively, they're pretty dang good too, Matt. They can battle the rim attack, the transition nature of Samford. But I do think 8.5 is a touch high in a tournament setting here, semifinal, SoCon. That's a lot to lay, even if it's Furman, even if it is the better team. Hope Furman wins, Matt. Don't think they cover 8.5.
Yeah, Samford's legit, man. I respect this team a lot. I actually like the under more than I like the side, but the value is pretty much evaporated there. So no endorsement on that. I will probably give a slight endorsement to Samford on the side at +9. You guys hit it. They have big time talent. Case Glover, Florida, Cooper Capes, Loyola, Jermaine Marshall, Akron. And then the other kind of the dudes that McMillan has kept around are still really solid too. They have a ton of depth, and you can argue they're undervalued because they have a lot of dudes that were injured throughout different ports of the portion of the regular season. So trending up at the right time. I think they're a team that could be a live dog with the high variance in the way they play today. But hope Furman pulls it out. I hope they pull it out. All right, we're going to Sunbelt, Funbelt. We got 2 more on the outline before we get back to chat mob round 2. Kai, my raging Cajuns are dancing through this field right now. They got to win 2 more to get the auto bid. They take on Troy today. Scott Cross, arguably the most respected coach in this conference for my money, just given what he's done. Just look at that roster. There's not a lot of talent, and look at the 4 seed. I like the Cajuns today. I know their turnovers have been an issue, but they seem to have found a good steady point guard in Jalen Thomas that I subtly trust.
I'm upset with myself for not picking the Cajuns outright yesterday against Texas Tech. They're a good team. Even without Kobe Julian, they're deep. They have 2 dominant big men. Troy survived Little Rock. They are very well coached, Matt. They have some really good guards. Louisiana won this first matchup by 10 without Jordan Brown. Kobe Julian did have 17 in that game, so maybe his absence does matter. Troy can battle on the glass, but Brown and Akuba have huge advantages inside here. Hopefully Louisiana takes care of the ball and doesn't go stupid down the stretch like we've seen them do both games in this tournament so far. Even last game, they kind of let Texas State creep back in. The question is, Jim, will Troy just go supernova from deep and make this all moot? I hope not. I think Louisiana's better. I think they deserve to be in the championship game here, so I'm riding Cajuns.
Yeah, Cajuns were a team I liked in this league coming into the season, and it just took them some time to get it going. They've been, like you said, excellent in this tournament, kind of led wire to wire in both of their wins, although the UTA game got a little bit dicey. I'm leaning their way too. I think they have more talent. You look at some of the down transfer guys they have on the roster, Jordan Brown from Arizona, Greg Williams from St. John's. It's a really strong roster, and there's some inklings, hints maybe that Marlon is coaching for his job here. So it kind of adds to the desperation. But yeah, I like the Cajuns. I'm a little concerned about how well coached Troy is and the fact that they will probably press Cajuns, because I think it's like, I tweeted this yesterday. If you're not pressing them, it's like malpractice, because they will hand you the ball. But they will do that. So leaning towards ULL. And Matt, we saw a team win 4 games in 4 days in this tournament last year. It is doable. So leaning towards Louisiana.
Yeah, a big area that Louisiana turns the ball over a lot too, which is like it adds another layer of frustration on top of the already baseline layer of frustration. Their bigs like come out to the perimeter and they initiate like a lot of handoff and kind of ball reversal stuff. And Jordan Brown and Theo Akuba are so sloppy Joe with the ball. And now Brown was dominant yesterday. But yeah, Jim, if you're not pressuring them on the perimeter, both full court or half court, you're doing yourself a disservice. I think Cross will engage some of that today. It's the only reason why I'm not adding this as a best bet. I still think it's too cheap at -1. -1.5. But again, the little bit of matchup concerns with the turnover warts potentially reemerging against the Trojans. All right, last game on the outline here. Appalachian State, Appetizer State, Kai, as we call them so lovingly, playing Georgia State. And we've been endorsing Georgia State unders for the last few weeks. The DNA, the mantra of this team has been size and physicality up front, while their shot makers are erratic. Now, Appalachian State has some shot makers as well, and we know they have a history of making deep runs through this field. We like Dustin Kearns. A lot to unpack here. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Georgia State survived that scare against Arkansas State. They nearly blew a 10-point lead in the second half. That would have been disaster. They have too much talent to be 9-5 in the Sun Belt. They had a very strange start to conference play. For my money, they're still the best team in this conference. Their guard trio is insanely talented, unmatched in this league. But App State's dangerous. They're poised. They're old. They're number 3 in continuity in the country. So almost everyone on this team was on the Sun Belt tournament team, the big dance team last year. They split the season series here. I think Georgia State has an edge inside. Their funky pressure defense, maybe not as big of a factor considering how well App State handles the ball. But I think Georgia State gets this one done, gets to the final, and gets the cover here, Jim, too. Uh-oh, Jim's struggling with the internet. Or he's muted.
Jim, register. Jim, Mayday. We will get Jim back on. I think he's muted or his internet's not quite working here. It's time for Chat Mob round 2, and it's unfortunate, Kai, because he is our czar here. Should we just pick a few games in the forum that have been coming in late, and or we can look at the slate? I could pick a few. How do you want to do this? Let's just be off the cuff, off the dome, on the fly type dudes.
I've been looking at the chat here periodically, Matt. One game of discussion is the Vermont NGIT game in the American East. An enormous spread, 23 points. It's a conference tournament game. I don't think you can lay 23.
I agree. I'm with you on that one.
I think I'm back, boys.
Jim's back, baby. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
What's your Georgia State take?
Under. Best bet. One of my best bets. The chat asked about it. I'm so sorry it was late giving it to you here. But I think Georgia State unders are great bets right now. App State wants to play slowly, thin rotation. There's some shot making on App State that makes me nervous, and a slight coaching edge for Mr. Kearns there over Rob Lanier. But I like the under. I think that is a good bet. Where's my number at? I believe it's 127.5. Let's make sure. Yep, 127.5. Lock it in under. And you guys hit NJIT Vermont, so I will knock that out of our chat mob questions. A couple other chat mob questions were relevant to best bets. So we're going to save Towson and Northeastern. We're going to save South Dakota and UMKC. Matt, what do you think of a wild card play from Michael Buelna of Nebraska money line? He says Wisconsin's got nothing to play for. They do. They have the one seed to play for.
No, I agree. I love that. Yeah, I think that's again, high variance team playing better as of late. They don't take the best shots, but we know they have dudes who can get hot in a hurry. And just the way they're defending, especially as of late, I think they definitely can compete here. So sure. All right.
Kai, how about another Big Ten game from Scott H asking about Maryland at Michigan State? I'll just say this one felt really low to me. And I think, Michigan State they lay a bunch of eggs and then they sneak in a good performance like the home win over Purdue. This feels like the good performance, but I'm tired of playing whack-a-mole with this kind of pretty bad team. So I'm staying away. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of whack-a-mole in Maryland too. I'd probably just stay away, Jim. Yep, I don't have an opinion on this game.
Tough one to figure. Senior day, not a great big angle there unless you're really into Gabe Brown and Jody Hauser. I don't know.
Maryland with injury issues, right? Isn't Dante Scott banged up? There's one other guy that's dicey. So check.
Matt, from the Paris.
Your homework.
We got Summit games today. Western Illinois, Oral Roberts in the Pentagon. He's wondering if the shootout helps the dog. He was thinking maybe 6 is a little high. I kind of think Smith and the boys take care of business, but man,
I agree.
The total is up to like 167 in some place. Like it is sky high.
It's because overs went 2-0 yesterday. The Pentagon is a cozy environment for shooters, Jim, a shooter's paradise. That back short drop canvas is perfect. And all season, it was just an over bonanza in that conference. I just think people are picking up on that.
Yep. One of my best bets is an over. Kind of hinted at it already. We'll get to it in a second. Last one, Kai, before we get to best bets from Harry. Albany at Hartford. Definitely some player personnel issues here. I'll make sure people know. Devondre Perry, the Temple transfer, returned for Albany. Harry, I know that's near and dear to your heart, Mr. Owl himself. And then Hartford's had multiple guys out. Moses Flowers, Austin Williams. I would imagine they've been getting rested for the tournament, so we might see them out there, but maybe they're not 100%. I kind of lean towards Albany here, Kai.
On the number, I suppose there's a bit of value on Albany, and they're a team that's been punching above its weight class all season. I think Hartford's much better. I lean Hartford.
Yeah, and the number is not great anymore. It's down to 2.5 from 4.5. So the market is definitely on Albany, and I don't know. It's a little tougher
I disagree.
to take two.
I'm with Hartford too. Johnny Gallagher, baby. We'll rerun of last year's Magic in their final year in D1 before they go play with the D3 kiddie pool.
That's a interesting angle. Yeah, they're done
Just
D1 after this year.
I don't mind Hartford, but you need to check if Flowers and Williams are playing.
Yeah,
both of those guys.
yes.
No, thank you on Hartford because Hunter Marks is already out for the season. Okay, let's go to best bets, fellas. Oh wait, Ryan Abramowitz asking about Minnesota. I'm not sure if either of you have a take on the Gophers. They're at Northwestern getting 7.5. I kind of like the Gophers. I don't think they've quit at all this year.
Yeah,
but they did not cover at Maryland. I thought that was a decent spot for them. What do you think, Kai?
I'd lean Gophers. Northwestern. Have they beaten anybody by more than 8 points at home this year?
Yeah, I agree with Kai on that one. I know you got to check on Curry. I mean, that's just big. I know they was it Maryland that punished them inside without him.
If Curry's out, you can't bet Minnesota.
I don't know if he's out. He's banged up. I apologize. My injury due diligence on the big board has not been great with these regular season games. It's my fault. It's on me.
Yeah,
it's a hand up.
We're leaning hard into the tournament. But Matt, this is the
Yeah.
last day with regular season games, so it's going to be all tournament after this. Let's go to best bets. Matt, recap your two, then I'll give my two, and Kai, we'll finish with you.
Taking Drizzy Drake, Darian DeVries and the boys. Arch Madness +5. I think they compete all the way down to the wire and sneak inside a number. I do think Loyola ultimately wins that game, but 5's too high. And then I also took, I'm blanking. What was my second best bet? It was a really good one, though. It's a really good pick.
And Chattanooga.
Mox. Choo, chugga, choo. I think 2 is too short against Wofford, team they match up well with, team they swept regular season. And I just think they're better, Kai. So pretty simple handicaps for me today.
Yep. I am double totaled. I mentioned the Georgia State under against App State 127.5. And then I'm also going over in the Missouri, Kansas City and South Dakota game. The number right now is sitting at 137.5. Matt, you talked about that gym and how it's a great shooter's paradise. UMKC also playing faster this year. Kai, South Dakota, great executing offensively. Love a Summit over. I think this number is too low. So It's fun. I haven't been betting a lot of overs in our best bets. It's nice to be actually rooting for points one time.
Great angle, Jim. My bet is a little bit scary. Northeastern +11.5. It's come down since the start of the show, unfortunately. It's just too many points in a conference game, in a conference tournament game. I know Northeastern has a pretty short rotation, but Bill Cohen's been here before. He's had a lot of success in the Colonial. I think they can keep it within double digits here. Give Towson a small game here. I think Towson wins. 11.5 is too many points.
Yeah, neutral site, no home court advantage.
Right.
A little concerned with them coming off OT, but Matt, you already mentioned some of the couple other teams that have covered off of OT. So,
well, our first Sunday show is in the books. We're coming to you every. Is it right? It's our first Sunday show, I think.
I feel like we've done a Sunday show.
No, we did one more. We did one or two before, but hey, it's going to be every day. Our lovely mugs will be adorned on your screens from now until the end of the season.
The early start during the weekdays.
Yep. Starting at 10 Central, 11 Eastern. Is that right, guys?
Yep.
So,
starting tomorrow.
So right around this time today, make sure you add that to your calendar or adjust your calendar accordingly. Make sure you reroute those meetings to later in the day to make sure you can squeeze us in the morning. We'd appreciate that. And do like and subscribe, by the way. You're watching right now. You're not doing anything else. Just hit the button, please.
Hit the button.
And that's all we have. Until tomorrow, we're back on our regular schedule. Well, I'm sorry, our earlier schedule, but back on our midweek regular cadence. Good luck today. Go Bulldogs.